head would move from Abilene to this spot on the prairie. Why the town went up overnight. Beginning in May, Robert Walton established a blacksmith shop, and A.E. Horner, a general store, and a Peter Loon, a pioneer store in 5th and Main. And of course, Harry Lovett opened the first saloon at the corner of 4th and Main, the first and many it turned out. I know you all here learned about the General Massacre that happened August 20, 1871 in Hyde Park, but the story really started well before that night. July 15th was an exciting day in our history. The first passenger train stopped here. Newton was officially a railhead. The Texas Cowboys could drive the Longhorns up the Chisholm Trail from Texas to meet the train here in Newton. After such a long journey, those Cowboys with money in their pockets were ready for some fun. Now, folks, you gotta understand we did not have official law officers. We could call someone from Wichita, which in those days was a good distance. Now, I understand today you can get there in under an hour. Amazing! Without anyone to enforce good behavior. Many people saw no reason for good behavior. Cowboys, after a long cattle drive, were not concerned with their good behavior. Saloons lined up the streets, up to 10 in August, maybe even more. Some along Main on north sides of the tracks made an attempt to be even respectable, but south of the tracks, we called it Hyde Park. Can anyone tell me why we called it that name? That's right, because the girls showed so much hide. Of course, I did not frequent these places, so I don't know from first-hand experience. But trouble happened at any time, any place. On July 15th, Snyder was shot. We were concerned about the violence. Already Newton was getting a reputation as a rough town. Notorious Texas gunfighters were known to spend time in Newton. Have any of you ever heard of John Wesley Hardin? He was here in 1871. He was one mean man. Billy Brooks also spent time here as well, on both sides of the law. In August, violence escalated, beginning with the shooting of a man named Lee. He was shot accidentally in Hyde Park. The citizens of Newton considered it a murder. Lee was well-liked, handsome, and outgoing, with many friends. People were afraid of the gun toting the Texans. An incident was ruled an accident. There were several other incidents throughout the summer, but on August 11th, a shooting took place in front of the Red Front Saloon, right on Main Street, that put events in motion which could not be ignored and gave Newton that horrible nickname, Bloody Newton.
Hey, McCluskey! What? You've been being with my woman, and I'm not gonna have it, okay?
I want nothing to do with your woman. She's so ugly, she's off a freight train.
All that.
I, along with all the respected people who were horrified.
I heard McCluskey left town. Poor Bill Bailey got shot, and they say McCluskey the one who done it. That's awful. I can't believe that.
Well, you better believe it. But it's true. I done seen it here with my own two eyes. Right here in front of the Red Dog Saloon. Red Front Saloon.
McCluskey is one mean, tough man. I sure wouldn't want to meet him when he's mad.
I don't know. There's some people been saying that Bailey got what he deserved.
How'd they figure that?
Well, he'd already killed two guys before he ever showed up in Newton.
And to think that Santa Fe is hiring troublemakers like Bailey and McCluskey and them pot-headed Texas Cowboys to be special police for the bond issue. I heard the Texans are madder than a hornet's nest that Bailey got shot.
Yeah, that whole lot of them was running up and down on Main Street, just a yipping and a hollering and raising Cain and stirring up the decent townsfolk.
Right old mess these boys have got themselves into. And I think this all started because Bailey and McCluskey fancied the same woman. At least that's what the rumor is.
All I know is they better keep all that shit in the Hyde Park. Leave the good plants and the decent folk on Maine alone.
Well, he did come back, and after arriving back in Newton in the early morning hours of Sunday, August 20th, McCluskey decided to head over to Tuttle's local dance hall in Hyde Park. Trouble brewing in Newton, with the epicenter being Tuttle's dance hall. At 1 in the morning, Tuttle, the proprietor, apparently sensed trouble and tried to close down his dance hall to no avail.
Go ahead and cut the music. Alright. Time to go and get out of here. Fun's over.
Come on, Tuttle, I haven't won my money back yet.
I mean, I want everyone out of here. I'm closing up early at night. I'll find out
You
longer.
go right ahead, but I think I'll just stay around a while.
Alright, go ahead and keep playing.
Well, the fun, however, only lasted for an hour because at 2 in the morning, 3 Texans by the name of Billy Garrett, Henry Kearns, and Jim Wilkerson entered and joined McCluskey at the barrel table. Shortly after that, a man by the name of Hugh Anderson entered. Guns out.
Hey, McCluskey?
That's correct.
Oh, yeah, no good, dog. You shot my friend Bailey. Bang!
Don't do it, Riley. Don't do it.
Well, also in the saloon was 18-year-old Jim Riley, a friend of McCluskey's, who's in the seeming act of revenge for the death of McCluskey, begins firing at everyone in the dance hall. The smoke from the gunfire fills the saloon, causing the shooter to hit innocent bystanders. And real sad about Jim Martin, he was a well-liked cowboy. I knew him personally. He was the only one trying to calm the situation. He was one of the first shot after McCluskey. The others killed were Patrick Lee, a railroad worker, Texans Billy Garrett, and Kearns. Two other men shot, but not fatally, were James Wilkerson, a mysterious guy by the name of Dick. Only thing left to do was hold his coroners inquest, which we did at 8 a.m. I was there with coroner C.S. Bowman, Boyd, and several jurors. It took us 4 hours to reach the verdict.
Hugh Anderson is put under charges of arrest for murder. I promise you, you find the body of the jurors ornamented, neighboring, telegraph poles. C.S. Bowman, attorney at law, Newton. We're here today at this inquest to determine the cause of death for Mr. Mike McCluskey and one Art Delaney, and also there was Jim Martin.
Martin came to his death in the hands of a person unknown. And the at 8 o'clock a.m., the 20th of August, by a pistol in the hand of Hugh Anderson.
Well, Judge, I remember that did not go over well with the Texans. They didn't take kindly to one of their own being found guilty of murder. It wasn't safe to walk on Main.
Yes, I do remember. It was a scary time with angry Texans riding up and down Maine, threatening the jury, promising revenge.
If you or Anderson is arrested on charges of murder, I promise you that the body of the jurors will be found neighboring ornamenting telegraph poles.
By the way, what did happen to Hugh Anderson? I don't recall him ever being arrested.
Well, now that's a secret not too many people know, although I did write about it in my 1881 history of Harvey County, so I guess I can tell you. Hugh's father, a wealthy cattle rancher in Texas, came to Newton to see what could be done with his son. He met up with myself, Boyd, and Bowman and Yokel. We devised a plan to get him out of Newton in secret. Only the four of us knew about it. I shall quote from the book, as the writing is quite good, as I do say so myself. The excitement was intense, and the city marshal, Tom Carson, and his assistants, all heavily armed. We're parading the streets day and night with warrants for the rest of Anderson. His father, a gray-haired, amiable old gentleman, bowed down with shame and sorrow at the conduct of his son, came to a consult with Muse and the others. Well, we needed to move him without the Texans or Tom Carson knowing. We constructed a litter at 2 in the morning. We all met behind Hop's store. I will quote from my book again. It's quite dramatic. To avoid detection, we carried him north, past the residence of Dr. Lewis, striking a cattle trail, followed it down to the car. That night was dark and rainy, the grass rank, high and wet, and the ground muddy, and our task a hard one, as we dared not use a light. Anderson was placed in the car with a closet that was locked. All this time had been arranged with the conductor. Hugh was to remain in the rail car until he reached Kansas City.
I wonder what happened to him. Man, you guys sure kept a good secret.
One thing that's always bothered me about that whole incident.
What's that? I know. Whatever happened to Jim Riley? Did they ever arrest him?
No. No one knows what happened to him. Even today, I understand researchers come to Newton to try to figure it out. After the shooting, Riley just seemed to disappear from the historical records. Of course, we formed a posse almost immediately to look for him, but no traces found. Some have come up with a pretty elaborate theories, starting with the first newspaper account written by Allegro, who called himself Nemesis.
There is an avenging nemesis on track. A stalwart figure suddenly appears on the scene. For an instant, he remains motionless, as if studying the situation. Then, a sheet of flame vomits forth, apparently from his hands, as the Texan staggers from the room, across the area, and falls dead at the door of the Alamo. Another and another shot follows, till 6 men have bowed to the crowds.
That Allegro could sure tell a tale. His reporting cannot always be trusted. However, he was in the saloon. I consider my accounts of the events to be authoritative, although some dispute it. I called Riley McCluskey's shadow. He was a friend of McCluskey, a boy named Riley, some 18 years of age. White and inoffensive. He had in deportment and evidently dying from consumption. Upon seeing McCluskey fall, coolly locked the door, drawing his revolver, discharged every chamber. From then on, the stories grew and grew. Even Mrs. O.B. Hilbert, who lived north of town, claimed she knew what happened. Of course, she heard it secondhand from her husband, O.B. Hilbert.
I was living in Newton at the time, remember it well. My husband was a law-abiding man, and he knew what had taken place in Tuttle's saloon. He was the one that helped Riley to escape. He and several others wanted him gone. Those Texans were raising such a fuss, riding all over the place, shooting off their pistols. My husband, Boyd, and Bowman gave him a saddle, bridle, and a horse, and sent him on his way. Never heard from him again. Oh, I heard rumors he ended up in Ellsworth, or could have just died somewhere out on the prairie.
I guess later historians had their theories too. One noted that at the time of the shootout, there were several newspaper correspondents in town. Certainly if Riley could have been found, they would have had motivation. Possibly, Riley left on the early Sunday morning train, possibly hiding at the East End train yards until the train left. A stowaway in the baggage car would not have been noticed. Riley could have gone either to Emporia or Topeka, and there taken up where he left off at Newton, that of doing odd jobs under an assumed name.
Then still another, Maury Sandos wrote in 1978. Then, as suddenly as he started the slaughter, the youth with the deadly aim coolly stepped out into the night. A posse was organized to search for Riley, but he was never seen again in Newton. Some say he went GN or gone north. Others believe that he died soon after. Still, others believe he went to Nebraska and reinvented himself as the famous outlaw Doc Milton, but that's a stretch. I guess that's the fun of the story. No one knows. It's Newton's longest unsolved mystery.
Indeed. Now I must thank all these good people for joining us and listening to our story. Admittedly, it is a story that I, along with other town leaders at the time, tried to suppress this dark time. We wanted to be known as a progressive and safe city, but it persists. As I said at the opening of my history of Harvey County, a bad beginning ensures a good ending. And if it is to be true, then the infamous character which the town justly earned in the early days foreshadow an after career of unexampled greatness and prosperity.
Yeah, there's still children's activities. Make your own brand, or there's fun water games, or you can also what was I going to say? Oh, food. There's also food in the inside. So yeah. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.